Hello world, my name is Michael,
I am Daniel.
and we are here again for our second episode of the Ultimate Feuding Championship. Yeah! Anyways, we're here, we're finally on iTunes, we're very thankful, and hopefully we can get some more viewers up in here, up in this bitch.
Alright.
Anyways, today's episode we're going to be talking about UFC 162
On July 6th.
July 6th, only on pay-per-view, and we're going to give our predictions with our special guest coming up later today. His name is Jeff Cairns. He's my third cousin, I think. It's my mom's cousin's brother, I think. Something like that. I think that's my third. I don't know. I don't know what anatomy or whatever that is. Anyways.
Anatomy?
Anyways, we're gonna get, he had the FCP, the Full Contact Promotions, and he had on one of his cards he had Jake Shields fought, Uriah Faber, Nam Van, Brian Abersol. So it was a really stacked card, and I got Scott looking in the mirror over here. Scott Bell. I shouldn't have given your name right away, but anyways, This is our new
co-host. I still get to be co-host.
And am I host?
You're host because this is your house.
Okay, so I'm host, you're co-host, Scott's co-host.
And I'm drinking 3 of your sodas before we even started recording, so yeah.
Anyways, we'd like to introduce a longtime friend of ours and avid UFC enthusiast, Mr. Scott.
Player.
How about a huge round of applause for Scott Bell? They have sound effects?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to import that then.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, what's up, everyone? Yes, as Michael has said, I am an avid UFC enthusiast.
Enthusiast.
Okay. All right. So, let's see. Michael made me a UFC fan back at UFC 143. We were watching Nick Diaz versus Carlos Condit for the interim welterweight belt in the movie theater full of Nick Diaz fans. And, yeah,
we fucked shit up.
We fucked shit up because we were both Condit fans, and everyone was pissed at the decision, but we were just like, oh yeah. But
I don't even think we were Condit fans. We were just like, wow, everybody in here is loud and obnoxious. Is this how everybody from Stockton is?
I don't know. I was just like,
that's a yes. By
I just saw Nick Diaz as a worthless piece of shit. So I was like, all right.
By the way, I don't even see why that decision was controversial. Nick Diaz walks forward, Carlos Condit punches him in the face. That happens for 25 minutes, and Diaz is like, I was moving forward the whole time. It's like, yeah, but you were
getting hit in the face.
You were fighting poorly.
People call Condit running, and he landed like the most leg kicks
in a title fight.
In a title fight, yeah.
I think it was that.
So I mean,
if you count
for people who say that's a running fight, I mean, we could give a lot more examples of fights that are quote running. Yes. So let's not, and
we're not
gonna
have a problem with
it. So
it was not the most controversial decision I've ever seen in my life.
And besides that, shout out to Johnny Bones Jones, he's my horse, as I like to call him. he's my horse. That guy is a freak of nature, and should be the new #1 pound-for-pound fighter. We'll see if
we'll see on July 6th.
We'll see on July 6th if
Anderson Silva loses.
Wait, so you just admitted that Chris Weidman's gonna win?
What?
Scott Bell's.
You just said John Jones is going to be the #1 pound.
No. This is why. Because Anderson Silva will beat Chris Weidman. Therefore, the super fight will happen. And therefore, John Jones will beat. So. I hope John Jones will knock out Anderson Silva via spinning back elbow.
Yeah. That would make me so happy. I would have to change pants afterwards. It would be.
That's agreed.
For all you guys, I like Silva. It's just John Jones is my idol. So. And of course, these guys give me so much shit for it. I don't even want to go into what shit I get for this.
We give him a really hard time.
We give him what he deserves.
Brazil. Jay, I'm not expect nothing. Okay. Anyways, we're gonna be talking about UFC 162 in a little bit. Main event: Anderson Silva, Chris Weidman. Chris Weidman, All-American, 9-0. Notable wins: Damian Maia, Mark Munoz. And we got Frankie Edgar, Charles Oliveira in the co-main event. Tim Kennedy, Roger Gracie battle with Strikeforce Imports in the middleweight division. We got Mark Munoz and Tim Boach for looking for a boost in the middleweight rankings. We got great fight. Cub Swanson, Dennis Seaver, featherweights. And then, of course, we're going to also talk about Chris Lee and Andrew Craig. Because that's
I don't know why that's on the prelim card.
Well, it was either that or Mark Munoz and Tim Boach.
Because
Mark Munoz and Tim Boach was on the prelims until they took Ricardo Lamas out because he was supposed to fight Korean Zombie, and they put KZ in with Jose Aldo. But we got a big card, and we're going to talk with Jeff coming up later, and he's going to give us his predictions along with his insight on MMA promoting and matchmaking and all that jazz. So we're good to go.
All right, where should we start?
Without any further ado, let's do some predictions.
We're going to talk about the prelims a little bit, for a little bit, and first card
with a little bit of further ado.
Yeah, here we go. First fight I like to talk about is Gabriel Gonzaga, Napao Gonzaga, and Dave Pee Wee Herman.
I'm proud of him for choosing that nickname.
So let's see, Dave Herman's last fight.
That was against. Was it? Oh, it was Big Nog.
Was it Big Nog?
I think it was.
And sorry, Big Nog. Did he break his arm in that fight?
Yeah, he did, or pretty close to it.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu doesn't work on me, and he tested positive for marijuana after.
Oh god.
He's on a 3-fight losing streak. He's got second round TKO'd against Stephen Struve. He got first round knocked out. Remember that against Roy Nelson.
Did that start Roy Nelson's big run?
That did actually. I think it. Yeah. It did. I think that was the second one.
So he really needs this win if he wants.
No, I was the first. Good one. Yeah, good job.
So he's on a 3-fight losing streak.
3-fight losing streak, and then we got Gabriel Gonzaga, who just made his UFC return with a rear naked choke win against Ronaldo Oliveira, and then he got a guillotine on Ben Rothwell. Then he got knocked out in a quote-unquote controversial fight against Travis Brown. Did you guys get a chance to see that fight?
No. How is it controversial if it's a knockout?
The Travis Brown with the elbows.
Oh, wait. That was
on the Ultimate Fighter finale.
I saw that. Did they appeal? They didn't.
He had tried to appeal it, but it didn't. It was denied.
So he has a 3-fight losing streak, and
that's Gabriel Pee Wee Herman does. Dave Herman does. Gabriel Gonzaga just has one loss.
I don't like Pee Wee's chances now against Gonzaga. I really think Gonzaga.
Well, he's probably on a win or be cut situation.
I think both of these fights are
really
go because if you look at, let's look at Gonzaga's record. He is 4-2, 6-2, 6-3, 7-3. He was 7-5 on his first stint in UFC, including a.
It's not an excellent.
Well, that included that head kick of Crow Cop, which led to the title shot against. Oh my goodness! Yeah, led to the title shot against Randy Couture, which he lost in Fight of the Night. He got TKO'd against Fabricio Verdum. Then he won 2 straight, knocked out by Shane Carwin. He beat Chris Teixeira. Then he got knocked out by JDS and decision loss to Brendan Shaw, which led to his release. He won one more fight, and he was called in a short notice. He was called short notice to fight Ronaldo Oliveira, which he first round rear naked choke, beat Ben Rothwell, knocked out by Travis Brown. Now we're here.
Right. Yeah. So you think that?
I don't think he'll get cut if he loses. That'd be really harsh.
He's 7-5. I mean, maybe
he's 2-1 right now.
He's 2-1 in the UFC though.
No, 2-1 in his second stint.
In his second stint.
He's like 9 and 9-5, 9-6.
If he loses another 2, or if he loses like another 2 more in a row, I think maybe then it'd be.
But Pee Wee's definitely on the chopping block.
Pee Wee's definitely on the chopping block, no doubt. Yeah, it's a good fight.
He's lying down on it, stretching his neck out. It's
kind of interesting too. Dave Herman was supposed to fight Shane Del Rosario, and then Del Rosario got injured, which led to Gabriel Gonzaga. What do you guys think about the change of opponents?
I don't really know much about Rosario.
He fought. He got TKO'd against Stipe Miocic.
That's right.
At 146, and then
he had another fight recently too against
Shane Del Rosario. Yeah, he got knocked out by
who fought him?
Pat Barry.
Pat Barry, that's right. Yeah, man. I forget.
I guess
Pat Barry's on
going by record. It's kind of an upgrade in strength.
I get
Pee Wee Herman there.
Yeah, because Del Rosario's 0-3 right now, and you got 0-2.
Let's just go through all these prelim fights, and then at the end when we're discussing it, we'll just have our picks for all these prelim fights before we go to the main card.
Fair enough.
That sound good?
Okay.
So let's see. That's
you want to start?
Is that all we need to say about that first fight?
Yeah, that's not even the first fight. That's like the fourth fight.
What's the fourth fight?
Okay, well, let's go. Mike Pierce.
Well, I'm picking Gonzaga for that one.
You are.
The record, yeah.
I am as well.
I'll probably do
Gabriel Gonzaga.
I'm rooting for Dave Herman though.
Let's start from the top.
Pee Wee Herman, man.
Some of these guys we don't know a whole lot about. They're
I'm just gonna pick based on nickname.
First fight is Mike.
Prelims.
First fight is Mike Pierce and David Mitchell. I think that's an easy fight for Mike Pierce.
I think so.
Mike Pierce is arguably beat Josh Koscheck at UFC 143.
Yeah, I know, but I think I was going for Koscheck in that one, if I remember correctly.
If you had the fight scored.
I think I had it for Koscheck. I know I was
a close fight.
Everyone was giving Koscheck shit in there, and I was like, why not? Let's go for Koscheck.
Yeah.
And then I thought, was that
Just
what
to make people.
It was, yes.
Okay.
And
I gotta
then
rewatch that one.
we got Seth Basinski versus Brian Meliknun. I don't know.
Meliknun.
Melon.
I think he's gonna have the edge because his opponent is gonna be trying to pronounce his name for the first round.
Melancon's 8-2.
What you gonna do, Melikon?
Melancon, let's see, he fought. I don't even have his record. They don't show his
Doesn't
record.
Melikon sound like a strangely packaged Japanese food?
Something like that, yeah. I'm going with Seth Basinski in there because I don't know who Brian Melancon is, but it's fair enough.
Yeah.
Next up on the FX card, we got Edson Barboza and Rafael Oliveira. I got to go with Edson Barboza on that one, dude, no doubt.
Barboza, I would probably take him.
I'm going to be contrarian.
Edson Barboza had that crazy knockout, didn't he? With the
Barboza had the spinning back wheel kick.
Oh my
Terry
God.
Adam, UFC 1.
I thought that guy died.
Yeah, that guy, it's like the Ryan Hall kick almost.
Yeah, man.
But Rafael Oliveira.
Scary.
That was. Let's not talk about that.
Oliveira's rather unknown in UFC. He's 1-2. Only win was, I don't even know how to say this guy's name. Yoislandi Izquierdo.
That was pretty good.
Oh, it was pretty good. And he lost to Gleason T-Vow and Yves Edwards, who are veterans of the sport, of course.
Yeah.
And he's fighting Edson Barboza. I got to go Edson Barboza. I think he's going to finish the fight, no doubt. Also,
he's a pretty big favorite in that fight.
He's got to be, yeah.
Yeah.
We all gave our, so I think we all agree. Gabriel Gonzaga, Dave Perman. Next up,
I want to root for Oliveira or whatever, but
yeah.
I can't.
Next up is Norman Park and Kazuki Takadome.
I've seen Norman Park, isn't he?
We met Norman Park.
We met Norman Park. He was
He was at the Fox card.
Was he British?
Yeah, he was Australian or he was
Australian.
God, he was one of those two.
Aussie. I love my Aussies.
He's Irish.
He's Irish. Okay, even better.
That is British.
Well, yeah, this is even better. That's
He was the Ultimate Fighter Smashes lightweight winner. He was supposed to fight at that Fox card, but his opponent got injured. He's supposed to fight John Tuck.
So, okay, wait, who's his opponent in this fight again?
Kazuki Takadome. And Kazuki Takadome, he beat Cristiano Marcelo at UFC Fuel TV. This is his second fight in the UFC. He's overall record 12-3-1. 3 losses against 3 guys I've never heard of, except Kobayashi.
Just because I took a picture of Norman Park, I'm probably going for Norman
Yeah,
Park.
I have to agree with that.
Wait, can I take a look at Norman Park's record here?
Yeah, Norman Park
He's fighting in the
17-2.
Irish leagues. No, he hasn't fought anyone I
There's just something about taking a picture with a fighter that just makes you want to root for him.
Right, it does. It does. Like, because we were going for Gray Maynard when he fought, because we got a picture of Gray Maynard and got knocked. Yeah, that was pretty bad. Anyways, that's really it because we're gonna talk about. My pick's Norman Park. I don't know about you.
I got Norman Park.
We all got Norman Park.
Yeah.
We're soon gonna have some.
We're the
debates
worst
here.
feuds ever.
Yeah, man.
Wait till the main card. We're gonna
Main
have
card's
some.
gonna be
We're
nice.
gonna have some feuds for the
There's
main.
a lot of close fights in there. It's really good.
It is. Chris Lieben, Andrew Craig. We can give our predictions right now. I gotta go with Chris Lieben in this fight. It's a tough fight.
It's close.
I
I think I'm gonna go Andrew Craig. Can you pull up Chris Lieben's article real quick?
This is one of those
I wanna
fights. I
check
don't
something.
Well, let's look at Andrew Craig. You know Chris Lieben.
Oh yeah.
Chris Lieben. Andrew Craig's 8-1. He just got his first loss against Ronnie Marks.
Wow.
That was after that head kick rally against Rafael Natal. We were at that fight in San Jose.
Yeah,
that was a great
right.
fight. Chris Lieben's he's on 2 straight losses,
That's
right?
right.
2 straight losses. Mark Munoz corner stoppage and Derek Brunson in a very, very boring fight.
Yeah.
Here, go up real quick. Let me see. I want to see his
He's
age.
22-9, and he is 32 years old. He's still relatively young.
Oh, yeah,
he was on
so
the
he's
first.
not-
He was on the first season of The Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how old was he? He was 2005.
First guy to fight Anderson Silva in the octagon.
Yeah, that was Anderson Silva's debut, and yeah, that's not the
Less
same.
than
much.
Wasn't the longest fight in the world.
49 seconds.
Yeah.
He landed 100% of his strikes. That's
Oh my
pretty
God.
incredible. I'm not gonna lie, you know.
Just pick and shoot fan.
Well, Chris Lieben landed 100% of his headbutts onto Anderson Silva's hands. So there's that.
Wow.
That's saying a lot too, I guess.
It's all about perspective.
This is one of those fights I don't really know about. I mean, Chris Lieben, he's I guess you call him a veteran of the sport.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely. And
Absolutely.
then Andrew Craig
No
is also a
disrespect
really
here,
big
but-
prospect. But I don't know. It's one of those fights. I do a lot with these fights. Is that once. I'll choose like 2 minutes before the fight starts. I'm like, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it in my knees.
Yeah, who's looking
Chris
good?
Lieben's going, or I'm feeling it in my back.
Do you know what I feel like too? Is that this is such a stacked main card that we're not really paying attention to the prelims.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's just I'm so excited. I'm
just
so
gonna be,
excited
like,
for this fight.
Ever since
during them,
Ever since UFC 149, I paid attention to the prelims.
Yeah,
149. Okay.
Is that Faber Barao?
That was Faber Barao, yeah.
God,
And then the Faber Barao fight was pretty good, but like the Czech Congo clinching match,
God,
let's not.
Yeah.
I'm so glad he's out of the UFC.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
Who? Czech Congo?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, I think he's
And
going.
Sean Jordan's actually.
He's something else too.
Yeah, he's coming.
I'm not a big fan. I'm not convinced yet.
Oh yeah. Well, Pat Barry was I guess kind of premature, but
The fight was stopped premature.
Yeah, stopped premature. Well, Pat Barry said, yeah. Did Pat Barry had like a claim he got poked in the eye?
His manager said that it was caused by the fight was stopped. He said that what made him go down was an eye poke. When he hit him with an uppercut, he poked him in the eye. I don't believe it.
I don't know about that. I mean, either way, he was down. He was getting beat up.
No doubt.
It was going to get stopped sooner or later. Yeah, exactly.
How does that work? Yeah.
I
think
you
he hit
can't
him
see
so
this at
hard.
home.
But we're replicating.
I'm replicating an uppercut, and my fingers are pointing directly away from Scott's face.
But you know what? Barry's head was down. Also.
Okay, let's try this. Let's try this again.
All right, here, let me punch you in the face real quick.
Okay, got it.
All right, so I'm doing it.
Ow.
Maybe if I do an uppercut, that's more of like a slap.
Yeah,
Possible.
maybe.
More of like a
Plus,
bad
Pat
boy,
Barry-
don't throw a tantrum and target kind of slap.
Pat Barry's not wearing glasses either, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Anyway, yeah. See, Andrew Craig. Let's see. Where were we? Andrew Craig, Chris Lieben.
Yeah, and you're like, I'm picking Chris Lieben
You're
for
going
this
for
fight.
Craig. You're going for Craig. So that means I'm the man.
You're the swing vote.
This is kind of. Can I just abstain? Can I just?
No, you can't do that.
I can't do that.
We are the ultimate feuding championship,
man.
not the ultimate
Okay,
concurring.
Sitting
So
around.
Lieben's on 2 fight lose streak, and then
Andrew Craig's on 1 and he's 8-1. That was his first loss.
You know what?
This is a lot like our main event, Anderson Silva, Chris Weidman. We got
Oh,
a
God.
prospect, and then we got
Yeah.
a veteran.
So if Chris Lieben loses again, could he get cut?
I don't know. He's on a.
I think.
I mean, 3 in a row is like kind of.
He's got to look really damn impressive to make a statement. You know.
I mean, if he lost in a way where it's like, what's that guy even doing? Then I think
He's fought a lot of guys, too,
Right,
you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, that didn't stop him from cutting Fitch, right?
Yeah, that was different though.
I'm gonna have to say Craig. I'm just gonna go with Craig on this one.
Yeah.
Hey, there we go. All right. And I mean, like, I can't really argue against. Oh, Lieben's terrible. He's not. He's not.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna be I think it's gonna be a close fight. This is probably a split decision. In which case, prediction is kind of useless.
It's more of a like, which one do you like better? Which one do you? It's like a personal.
It's a
option.
toss-up. It's definitely a toss-up. Anyways, well, that's going to conclude us right now. And in a little bit, we're going to have Jeff Cairns on the show.
For our main card predictions.
For our main card predictions. And also, we're going to talk to him about the world of MMA and
insight into
inciting.
Uriah Faber.
Yep. Anyways, well, I just like to let
Behind
everyone
the bangs.
like to let everyone know we got a conference call line set up. So we are very open to taking calls. If you are interested in taking calls, you can email us at ultimatefeudingchampionship@gmail.com. You can see our email on our iTunes page. And, we'd love to get people in on the show. Our next card, we're going to be... what are we doing on our next card? What card's coming up? What are we talking? Are we talking about? Is that coming up? Next week we're not really. We're just talking. We're just talking.
Right.
But then
We'll do hypotheticals like worst person to get a title shot, Benson Henderson.
we could do.
Come up with ideas. Yeah.
Next week we're just gonna be talking, and maybe we can take questions, interesting questions that you guys want to ask us, and we can all just have a good old debate on it.
Yeah.
Debate. But then sooner or later we're gonna have our UFC on Fox 8 predictions. with Demetrius Johnson and John Moraga. That's going to be a good card. We'll be talking about that coming up. And then, well, you know, and again, if you guys, we would love to take calls and predictions and all that. Our email is ultimatefeudingchampionship@gmail.com, and you can see that on our iTunes page as well. And our WordPress, ultimatefeuds.wordpress.com.
Leave a YouTube comment.
What was that?
Leave a YouTube
comment, rate, subscribe.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to put this on YouTube.
Just do it.
Yeah, that takes a while though. But okay, I'll put it on YouTube. We'll figure it out. Anyways, we're going to take a short break, and coming up in a little bit, well, not a little bit, for a while for
coming
us.
Coming up in an instantaneous edit is our interview.
Anyways, well, yeah, next up we have Jeff Cairns, FCP, co-owner and matchmaker, and we're going to be talking about... Stay tuned. We are back here, Ultimate Feuding Championship, with Michael,
Danny,
Scott,
and we're here with our very special guest, FCP, Full Contact Promotions, co-owner and matchmaker, Mr. Jeff.
Conference recording started.
There we go.
Mr.
Mr. Jeff Cairns. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. Hey, we appreciate you coming on here, man.
Yep.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so if you could start off telling us how did you get the FCP started? Like, what was your guys' goal in getting the whole promotion started, and what was your ultimate what was the word? Like the desire to get it started?
Basically, the desire was to be. I just wanted to have the one promotion, kind of like the ballroom boxing. You know, basically, the idea of ballroom boxing is like, you know, you do it in a hotel type casino area, maybe 1,500 to 2,000 fans, and a small MMA master, Kyle Fletcher.
Oh.
With young up and coming fighters who are looking for a chance to turn pro and start making a name for themselves. So that was basically it. Hello?
You're good, Jeff. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I heard. Okay.
Don't worry about it. We had another caller, but don't worry about it.
Got it. So once Governor Schwarzenegger legalized the sport in 2006, I realized time was of the essence, and I had to move quick if I was going to do it. You know, I wasn't really competing with Strikeforce, or obviously not the UFC or the bigger shows. My idea was kind of like to do it in a small setting, you know, if you know, like a ballroom type. So now, of course, my first show was at the Cow Palace. So from there to there, you know, how the hell did that happen?
Yeah.
But so what basically did happen is we got a license, we got a name, and we just started looking for places to do the fights. And I was looking at like a lot of like the hotels in Burlingame around that area. They did not want. They were most of them were not. If they knew what MMA even was, they weren't too hip to have that audience come into their hotel for a night. So I didn't really know. We were kind of like scrambling for a spot because, again, I wanted to be able to say we were the first show to do it in San Francisco or the San Francisco area. And once we started looking at other places, the Cow Palace, you know, I'm a lot older than you guys. I'm 42 years old. So growing up, the Cow Palace was the place to go. I mean, you know, every concert of my youth was basically at the Cow Palace. You know, I grew up going to the wrestling at the Cow Palace. But the last few years, not too much is really going on at the Cow Palace. So we looked at it, and you know, I don't know if you know this, the Cow Palace has, you can either use like the main arena, which is, you know, what everyone's been to, and they also have like inside the Cow Palace is like a garage parking lot where you can do a show there. And the difference of money-wise wasn't that much. So once we started looking at it, the Cow Palace became the place to do it. And it was kind of cool to say the show was at the Cow Palace. It almost went like an air of, wow, this is a little bit more of a promotion, a little bit more of an event than, than at first people thought it was going to be. And we went from there, really.
Were you guys looking at any other venues for your first show, or was the Cow Palace your like number one pick?
Well, I was told that, like for me, like I was told Kezar Pavilion, where we ended up doing like the next 7 shows after. I was told that the floor wasn't stable for a show, even though they have basketball games there, roller derby. So, we didn't really look at that. And after a while, there's not a lot of venues around here, if you think about it,
Yeah.
We did look at San Jose State, the event center. I don't know if you guys ever been there.
Yeah, I saw a Rise Against concert there.
Are you talking about HP Pavilion, or is there another?
No, San Jose.
Oh, no, not HP Pavilion, but
San
San
Jose.
Jose State. On like the campus itself, there's like a little like arena. It holds like about 8,000 people.
Gotcha.
So we were looking at that, but then we were told like San Jose was strike force territory, so they wouldn't allow another MMA show to do it there. And then we looked at the only other option was maybe the San Francisco Civic Auditorium or the Bill Graham Civic.
Okay.
But that's like 100% union, which is fine, except that the cost, to rent the place would have been about $25,000, and then by the time you're done paying for all the workers, and the guy that hooks up the popcorn machine, the guy that sells Coke, the ladies that sell your T-shirts. It was just. We were looking at, God, it could have been like almost $50,000 before we sold one ticket, before we pay one fighter. It was just insane. So that really wasn't an option. So really, Cow Palace became the spot. It was, all told, it cost us about $22,000 to rent the Cow Palace for one night, and that was everything. So
including all the concessions and stuff, right?
Wasn't that bad? No. That's what sucked, was the fact that they get all the parking, they get everything. The only thing we got other than ticket sales was like we made T-shirts, so we were selling those. Mm-hmm. But then we had to pay. You had to have 3 union workers from the Cow Palace sell the T-shirts. Like we couldn't sell them ourselves, so that kind of negated.
That wasn't a huge money maker. Those T-shirts.
Yeah, well, believe me, it's not. Just sold a few. And believe me, I just use them to work out in mostly now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hey Jeff, Scott Bell here with the next question. I was wondering how you were able to sign fighters such as Jake Shields, Uriah Faber, Nam Fan, Brian Ebersol, 2 Promotions, because these fighters they had big wins coming off, and they were starting to really make a big name for themselves. I was wondering how you were able to sign fighters like this.
Well, basically the thing is. Okay, so once I decided I was going to do a show, you got to understand the timeline here was 2006.
Right.
Now, Jake Shields fought George St. Pierre for the UFC title in front of 60,000 people in Canada.
That's right.
But that was 2010. Mm-hmm. Uriah Faber was the King of the Cage, Gladiator Challenge. He's won all kinds of belts, but that was later on.
Wasn't he the WEC champion when you guys signed him?
No, he wasn't. He won that after.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, no, that was after. So when I had him, he was the King of the Cage and the Gladiator Challenge champ. And again, those are just kind of regional Southern California promotions. So, Northern, But, so, long story short, I used to train at Fairtex in the city. And this is, 2004, 2005. They opened, this is the original one before, this is the first Fairtex in San Francisco before they opened one in Daly City, which is now closed. So I knew Jake, I remember Jake from back then when, Gilbert Melendez, before anyone knew these guys, they were fighting for $500 if they were lucky,
Wow.
And I remember, so right around 2006, I went to there was a gladiator challenge show in not Oroville, California. It was Calusa. Did you guys even know where Calusa's at? It's this.
It sounds like a mixed drink, so no.
Yeah, well, yeah. Believe me, it's not that exotic. Trust me. It's like a couple hours north of Sacramento. It is just the armpit of and it makes Sacramento look like Beverly Hills.
Wow.
So,
That's quite a feat.
There's a little shithole casino, a little like Indian casino there. And because again, at that point in time, the only places MMA you could do a show was Indian casinos.
Okay.
And I literally went there with some buddies of mine and started meeting some of the fighters after. Started just, I had like these little cheap-ass little cards made up with my name on it, my phone numbers. And started telling people, hey, I'm doing a show. This was like around October of 2005. By then, Schwarzenegger, the Governor Schwarzenegger at the time, had announced that in March of 2006, he was signing the bill, which was legalizing MMA in California.
Right on.
And that was it. So, the first show was Strike Force at the HP Pavilion. So I was telling people we were doing a show sometime after that in next year. So I started meeting guys. And then I started talking to guys. And again, I was just a fan of MMA way before I ever got this crazy idea of like promoting it. And I used to watch Uriah Faber fight. I mean, he was like this little surfer-looking kid who was, great shape. It was funny to see,
Great hair.
If you guys watch the UFC, and that's the best of the best. I don't know if you've ever been to like a lower level show.
I have. I've been to Nick Diaz had a promotion in Stockton called War MMA. I went to that. Their debut show was last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, how was that? How was that?
It was good. I mean, the fights were great. A lot of the prelim shows had a lot of guys making their debut, and that was always exciting. But they were very unorganized. They were very unorganized to the point where they were like, the show was supposed to start at 5 o'clock, and they ended up starting about 6:15 or so because they couldn't get the stream to work.
Yeah, exactly. I saw on MMA Fighting, I guess they had like 2 days in the life of the promotion, and it just looked like it was a total clusterfuck.
Yeah.
I mean, like the main guy, like that, I guess the spokesman for it, had a bong the size of my fucking arm.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that
Diaz.
So they sort of seemed to be just taking the cue from Nick as far as that, and it looked like it was disorganized. And look, Nick Diaz, let's face it, he didn't do jack shit for that show other than put his name on it. I mean, and then. And I highly doubt, from what I'm hearing, they're going to do another show. I mean, how was the crowd?
It was about 800 people, and it was a lot of family. The family members for the guys you're fighting.
Hey, let me tell you, a show like that, a show like mine, 80% of the tickets sold are going to be friends and families of the fighters. Okay, I mean that's just a simple fact. So if there's like 800 people there. That's not good. That's not good at all, actually.
How many tickets did you sell for the Malice at the Palace?
We did like 3,400.
Okay, and how many does it seat?
Well, the Cow Palace, it holds like 14,000.
Okay.
Cow Palace is a big venue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, that was... Now, 3,400, I mean...
That's pretty good.
Again, it wasn't bad at all, actually, in retrospect. But, again, I'll keep going. I mean, we lost money on that show.
Yeah.
So, basically, I was just a fan of it. Like, I knew Jake Shields. Jake Shields had just won there was a big tournament in Hawaii that he had won. Like, in this tournament, he beat, Anderson Silva. It was like an 8-man middleweight tournament in Hawaii.
Are you talking about Rumble the Rocks?
Yeah, no, I think it was like an offshoot of Rumble the Rocks.
And Jake Shields beat Carlos Condit and who was the other guy? Yushin Okami, I think, or.
Yeah, okay, that's the tournament. Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, Jake Shields won that. You know, it was insane. I mean, you look at, like, the names on there, and you're like, it's like a who's who of, like, the UFC's, like, middleweight division now, you know, or middleweight and welterweight division.
Yeah.
So Jake came home from that and then was, like, you know, teaching jiu-jitsu at 2 o'clock in the afternoon at Fairfax. You know, he didn't, you know, I think he made, like, $12 grand for that fight. He didn't make much. I mean, no one was getting paid jack at all back then. You know, Uriah would just fight constantly, you know, for King of the Cage or Gladiator Challenge, so he was making a bit of a living. So, long story short, I got a match. I met a couple guys, and I just started making some phone calls, and, you know, from there, you know, once we got a date, it was like, well, who am I going to do? I mean, you know, so basically, I wanted Uriah on the card. I knew he'd be super exciting, and people were going to love him if they saw him.
Yeah.
And, you know, from there, so I got him. Then I started talking to Jake Shields, and basically offered him, hey, I said, hey, man, you know, it's legit. You know, now, also, another thing that happened that kind of stuck, right around that time, there was the show at the Oakland Coliseum. And, like, it was just these guys from Hawaii did a show, and they didn't pay any of the fighters. They sold, like, 400 or 500 tickets. They lost their asses. And basically just fled, and none of the fighters got paid. So I had that going against me because, again, you know, who am I? No one knew me, really. I mean, they didn't know who we were. So, you know, it was always kind of like, well, you know, again, who are you? You know, because, again, there's all these, unless you're one of the big, unless you were like UFC or Strikeforce, a lot of these guys have been burned numerous times by shady promoters, and that was just a fact. So my thing was, I told them, hey, look, you know, I'm a cop in San Francisco. We're not going to rip you off. We're bonded. No matter what happens, if I lose everything, you're still going to get paid. Whatever the contract is that you sign, you're going to get paid that. And, you know, we made the assurances, and, you know, I think once guys started seeing, like, you know, commercials for the fight, we went all out for that show. I mean, we really pushed it as hard as we could. You know, people were a little more confident that the fight was going to happen, and it did.
Good stuff.
Yeah, so your first scheduling was in between UFC 62 and 63, and that was when the UFC started getting pretty big, was those two fights. UFC 62 especially was really big. So how'd that kind of affect your mindset going in? Do you think it would help your profits or hurt your profits? People being more focused on the big league, or was it just indicative of more people liking the sport?
I think it was indicative of a lot of people liking the sport. One of the things we did is, so once we started signing fighters, you know, again, I started going to the gyms. I started talking to Frank Shamrock. So I went down to his gym and, you know, started meeting his fighters, and I got a bunch of guys, you know, about 3 or 4 of his guys, you know, assigned to the card, because I also wanted to be able to say Frank Shamrock was going to be there at the show, you know.
Yeah,
so
that's a
good
big
way
name.
of doing that was to get, you know, a couple of his boys on the card.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now UFC 62, 63. Remind me what were the main events though that night?
UFC 62 was Chuck Liddell and Renato Sobral, and UFC 63 was...
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's right. So here's the thing. So Liddell fights Babalu in August. Our card was in September. And one of the things I did is, praying that Chuck Liddell, I hired and we booked Chuck Liddell, and he was at our fight. So one of the main things, part of signing Liddell, was the fact that I was able to put him on our posters. So every piece of advertising, whether it was like a real legit poster or the little placards you passed out everywhere that you could put on people's windshields, pieces of paper, flyers, whatever, Liddell's face was front and center. I mean, I figured the only guy people guarantee were going to know that night was Chuck Liddell. So,
yeah.
I mean, and basically Chuck Liddell was literally a matter of, in a magazine I had read at the time, I had read, I guess, this guy named Jervis was his manager at the time. And I basically just did a Google search, found this guy Jervis, called him up and said, hey, I'm a promoter. I'm doing a show at San Francisco, and I want to hire what's Chuck Liddell's rate for like promotional appearances. And we started talking, and the next thing I knew, I was faxing Chuck Liddell. It was kind of funny, you know. I was faxing Chuck Liddell a contract, and he came back and they agreed to the price, and Chuck Liddell was there at the fight, you know.
Did you have any interest in signing Chuck Liddell to fight for you guys?
Well, first off, you know, everybody under the UFC is pretty much, once if you fight for the UFC, then you're under contract to the UFC.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, now they can cut you, but you know, it seems like they're cutting guys all the time, but
they're not going to cut him.
Chuck Liddell, no one, Chuck Liddell ain't fighting for anyone but UFC, and we could never afford him. I mean, believe me, Liddell would cost more than my whole budget for the whole fight. You know, twice over, I'm sure. So no, you know, it would have been great to have Liddell, but no, that wasn't even a thought.
Yeah.
How were the?
But it was cool to have him there.
Yeah, I bet.
Get to take a picture with him and everything?
Yeah, I mean, so basically what we did is, you know, he showed up. He was pretty drunk. He was pretty hammered by the end of it. He was feeling no pain by the end, and it was cool. You know, I'll tell you guys a funny story off air about him. Remind me after. I don't know if they on air, but remind me and I'll tell you.
Right on, man.
He was great, man. Chuck was totally cool. He was, you know, it was one of those things. Basically, part of the deal was it cost $8,000 to bring him, and then he wanted a room in San Francisco for 2 nights, and then we had a friend of my old man who was my dad was like, you know, we were partners in this together, and he's a retired SFPD captain, so he had a lot of contacts with different people. So we had a friend of a friend had like the limousine service, so we basically just escorted Chuck. Because we were told he liked to party, especially after a fight, and that was literally 3 weeks after he beat Babalu. That he, you know, him and his little entourage liked to roll pretty hard, so it's fine. So he wasn't going to be driving, so we took care of that. And then he showed up, and you know, he did everything he was supposed to do. He was cool, and I know the fans loved it. I know it was cool just to have it. Just having Chuck there definitely lent like an air of, I guess, respectability. Maybe I'm looking for. It just was like, wow, he's there. I mean, it definitely was kind of cool. I gotta admit that, just to see him there.
You know, there was a story that Dana White did an interview with the Joe Rogan podcast, and he was telling the story that when Chuck fought Randy for the first time, Dana White was in the casino about 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and Chuck was down there the night before that fight. And then Dana White's like, what the fuck are you doing down here? Shouldn't you be in bed? He's like, it's whatever.
You know, it's funny. I was there. I was at that fight.
Cool. Really?
I was the one. Yeah, I was there. That was the one at the Thomas and Mack Center where Randy basically pretty big upset at the time. Everyone thought Liddell was to smoke him. But,
that's right.
Yeah, no, I remember that fight quite clearly.
That's funny.
How are the fights at your promotional event?
Like the quality.
How are they?
How were they?
Yeah, just.
Were they good fights, bad fights?
Oh, great. I mean, I tell you, like, again, so the Cow Palace, so after the Cow Palace show, you know, I also fought, you know, it's funny, the one guy I didn't mention, you guys watch the Ultimate Fighter show?
Yeah.
Okay, do you remember the first time there was an actual fight in the house, Marlon Sims fought that one guy? Do you remember that fight?
Was that Dwayne Ludwig?
No, it was, Marlon Sims fought some, like, they got in a big fight in the house. It was the season where, Nate Diaz won.
Season 5.
Remember they got in a fight in the house, and they were both drunk, and they were like in the house. Well, that guy Marlon Sims, and then Dana White kicked him out of the house the next day. Well, that dude Marlon Sims fought on my card as well.
Wow.
So it's kind of funny. Yeah, he went from our show to the Ultimate Fighter. So basically, after the Cow Palace show, I mean, you know, people were really happy with the card. We did well, but it's just, it costs so much money to do everything, to rent the Cow Palace. You know, we got none of the ancillaries except ticket sales, and, you know, we spent a lot of money. I mean, we had advertising in movie theaters. You know, we went just off the wall to try to sell this thing, you know, and we didn't sell enough tickets. That was the reality. You know, the thing that sucks is, if you had, you know, Jake Shields and Uriah Faber now everybody knows these guys. But back then, people didn't know them. Only the hardcore MMA fans knew them at the time, because neither one of them had been in the UFC at that point. So, you know, I didn't know if we were going to do another show, and then we basically took a meeting with a guy named Ted Williams, who is the owner of Gladiator Challenge, and he wanted to expand. Gladiator Challenge was basically the Southern California Indian casinos only type thing. But, you know, he kind of wanted to franchise out a little bit, so we ended up being partners with him. And at that point, you know, Full Contact Promotions, every show from that point on was Gladiator Challenge.
Yeah.
Because then we had, you know, because Gladiator Challenge was a much bigger name. We could point to, you know, past Gladiator Challenge champions. You know, Rampage was the Gladiator Challenge champ at one point. Dan Severn, you know, one of the legends.
Yeah.
I think Boss Rutan at one point was the Gladiator Challenge champ. So, you know, they got like a pretty storied past. So for us, it was easier to just go with them and, you know, use their marketing, which is a lot better than ours, obviously.
Yeah.
And so then from there, we went to Kezar. And the cool thing about Kezar was it was like $6,000 tops. And then we could sell beer. We got an alcohol permit. And so basically, the alcohol sales were all ours. You know, the parking was 50-50. I mean, there's just so much more revenue coming in other than like Cow Palace. And the cool thing is, whether you've got, I mean, okay, we could have 5,000 people at the Cow Palace, but if a place holds 15,000 people, it's going to feel empty. You know what I mean? You just look at all these empty seats. Whereas at Kezar only holds like maybe 3,000 people pop. So every show is basically sold out. And when that place is rocking, it doesn't, you don't need Anderson Silva and Chris Weidman throwing punches at each other to get the crowd pumped. I mean, two guys are going at each other, and people are gonna watch. They're gonna enjoy it. And then in a smaller setting where it's packed, the atmosphere was fantastic. So Kezar was definitely the place for us to be.
Gotcha. Okay, one of the fights on your card, you had Brian Abersol and Shannon Rich, where Brian Abersol, he originally won by submission, but the California Athletic Commission, they overturned it because they said the fight was fixed.
Yes.
Did you guys play any part in that decision, or was that was solely on the Athletic Commission?
No. So afterwards, okay, so basically Shannon the Cannon Rich, he wasn't the original guy. He wasn't supposed to fight Ebersol. It was now Brian Ebersol, who now has been a 4-time UFC. I mean, have you guys seen him fight in the UFC?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. He's great.
Yeah, he shaves his chest hairs. The guy is he's a college grad. He went to like the University of Illinois. The guy is he was actually, when it's all said and done, if you had me say, who are your favorite guys you dealt with, Ebersol is high on the list. I mean, I've had a lot of conversations with him just talking life. I mean, he was a great guy. And he was really fair. And actually, he was pretty much, when I met Frank Shamrock and went to his gym, Ebersol was like his main guy. So, essentially, Frank Shamrock's in his own world, kind of. You know, I mean, I love Frank, but he's just definitely on Planet Shamrock. He does his own thing. So Ebersol was his point man. So I dealt with, I mean, other than like the first time I went down there and met Frank at his gym, I don't think in fact, I know for a fact, I never talked to Frank again until like the night of the fights when he was there. Brian Ebersol was the guy he dealt with. So, and he was just a cool dude, and then it sucked for him. Like, so 2 weeks before the fight, his opponent pulled out. And the thing that sucks is, when you're making a fight, you just can't, I could say, okay, you two guys are going to fight each other. But that's that's fine and dandy, but until the California State Athletic Commission approves the match, it don't mean shit. Yeah. So basically, and Ebersol at that point he was a veteran of like over 40 MMA fights. In fact, he had fought on the first two Strikeforce cards. Like the night that Shamrock knocked out Cesar Gracie.
Yeah.
So finding someone on 2 weeks' notice who's going to fight that dude, again, mind you, with over 40, professional fights is not easy. So he had mentioned that, he had fought Shannon Rich before, and, and Shannon McCann Rich is one of these guys, he's basically have fight, will travel, just pay his room and board, and, he's just a professional fighter. He wins some, he loses some, but he'll give you an effort. And his medicals were done, which is also very important, because at that point, again, having, just because you want to have a fight's great, if all the medicals are not 100% done, you don't fight. And, when you're looking at 10 days before the weigh-ins, and the medicals have to be done the day of the weigh-ins, you almost need someone who fights a lot, who's got his medicals up to date. So I contacted Shannon Rich, and he agreed to it, and, he told me how much he'd fight for. I decided it was worth it, so we got him. So, the night of the fight, it was actually, it turned out it was one of the most interesting, to me, it was one of the most entertaining fights of the night. I mean, so basically, Ebersol knew he could do whatever he wanted to Shannon Rich. If he wanted to stand with him, he could knock him out standing. He could certainly submit him. He could out-wrestle him. So he told me before the fight, hey, I'm going to have fun with this guy. He told me, I'm working on this cartwheel kit that I tried once before. I think I can land it on him. And I go, a cartwheel kit? Are you serious? And he's like, yeah. He's like, watch me, I'm going to do it. And sure enough, he did it. He did it. In fact, he's even done it in the UFC a few times.
Against Chris Lytle, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, after the fight, I had people telling me, oh, what a great... Now, also, you got to mind, the night of a fight, it is just organized chaos. I mean, I am all over the place. If you think you're just... sitting down and watching the fights just does not happen. There's so much going on at every area that needs your attention. Now it's great if you're Dana White and you've got 100 assistants who can do everything for you. But when you're just, doing it on your own, and you've got a group of about 4 people that are your team, trust me, you're handling everything. So I'm all over. So after the fight, I just happened to be backstage at the Cow Palace, and I was actually, it was sort of not funny. Right before Uriah was supposed to fight, one of the rules is you have to have at least one paramedic. You have to have an ambulance, and you have to have two professional EMTs on the scene before any fight takes place at any time. And the fight before, so basically Uriah was the co-main event and Jake was the main event. And the fight, the After Nam fans fight, one of the fighters, I guess, had a seizure backstage, so he was getting taken to Kaiser. I think it was the closest one they were going to bring him to. So all of a sudden, we didn't have an ambulance. And so now, they weren't allowing the fight. So in the middle of that chaos, trying to get the ambulance back, there were 2 more fights. The show's almost going through that, I see Armando Garcia, who was the head of the athletic commission at the time, he was the man, and Frank Shamrock in a real heated discussion. So I'm like, oh, this looks interesting. So I'm going over there, and he's like saying that, I hear him screaming, this fight was fucking fixed, and
Wait,
he
who was
did
screaming?
it was a work, I know it, and Frank is just like, he's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, he's accusing him of fixing a fight. I'm like, holy shit, you know? And, you know, it's funny, and even after it was all said and done, like, that story never got as much play as I thought it would. I mean, that was a major, major controversy, you know? I mean, he literally, the long story short, the athletic commission, they suspended Ebersol, and they suspended Shannon the Cannon Rich prior until a full-blown investigation was going to be done. They took, you know, basically at that fight, after every fight was completed, we had like a girl who worked for us who literally was just right. Once the fighters had fought and they cleared their, they basically pissed in the cup for the athletic commission, the ones that were going to be drug tested. We cut them a check right then and there that night.
Wow.
So the athletic commission basically took the, you know, Shannon Richie's check and Ebersol's check. They said, thank you very much, took those, and held them until their investigation. In fact, and long story short, I think it was like 6 months later before they actually, like, those checks actually cashed, which was kind of funny.
Wow.
And they suspended them both on the spot. I mean, I don't know why. He just said that they made a mockery of the sport, and I actually have a videotape of the fight if you guys ever want to see it.
I would love to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't find it anywhere.
You tell me. Yeah, you tell me. I mean, at one point we were going to, you know, we had high, you know, especially like later on, once we actually, like, you know, you could sell the names, you know, maybe like distributing the, you know, putting the tape out, but it never happened. So it's literally, as I'm talking to you, I'm sitting there looking at like the one DVD copy of the fight. We had a friend of ours put the whole thing together. So I've watched that fight a bunch of times. It was in no way, shape, or form was it a work. It was just that Ebersol could not lose that fight. So he did whatever the hell he wanted. And, you know, and he was actually doing some badass stuff, man. He was doing cartwheel kicks. It was like some crazy shit. But, you know, I don't know why Armando Garcia chose to make an example, and that's heavy stuff. I mean, he accused him of fixing a fight, you know, working a fight together. So, you know, what really sucked for Ebersol, I mean, I guess in the long run it all worked out. He was, do you remember the ISL? It's already gone now. It was like a team concept.
Yeah.
Well, Ebersol, well, if you remember, like Frank Shamrock he was one of the coaches. And they, you know, and the IFL they had big bucks behind them, and they had like a network TV deal, and it was like Frank was a coach, Pat Militich was one of the coaches, and like they did one show at the Oakland Coliseum that I went to, and it was a pretty big deal. And Ebersol was signed, he was going to be, you know, and basically part of the IFL was, it was like when you were on the team, you got medical benefits, you got dental, you were like, it's almost like it was like a real working job. You got a salary, and then you fought 3 or 4 times a year. So, you know, that cost Ebersol, like, he told me at least $150,000 a year because he couldn't do it because he was still suspended by the California State Athletic Commission. So at that point, he said, screw all this, and he went to Australia, where, at that point, basically, whether he suspended, Australia, like the promoters back there didn't give a shit whether he was suspended or not.
Yeah.
And he went there, he met some chick, fell in love, got married, and was working at a school and was fighting there, and basically was in the right place, right time, and he stepped in at short notice to fight Chris Lytle and beat him.
Yeah.
On the main card of the UFC pay-per-view, and got his shot, man, and won like 4 fights in the UFC in a row. And and basically it took about 8 solid months from our card was September 9th, 2006, and it was like May of 2007 before I think the suspension was lifted by California. So, they really screwed him over on that, and that wasn't, that really wasn't right. I mean, because it just wasn't right. The fight wasn't worth, and you can't tell me it was. But I guess in the end it all worked out because if he hadn't been in Australia, then he wouldn't have been able, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was just right place at right time. And he got on the UFC, and I'm sure, and I know, and that, he got, I know when he beat Lytle, it was fight of the night bonus, so that was like 60 G's right there. So
he also
he's doing well.
He also got a getting those horrifying shorts off TV.
That's right.
Bonus.
Yeah, UFC 133.
Versus Coleman. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. When he's one of those fucking nut huggers.
Yeah. That's right.
On another lighter note, I'm looking at his record, and he used that cartwheel kick for a knockout in a fight versus Shannon Forrester at something called XFC.
Yeah.
So
that was his technique. That was his technique. I remember that was his big deal, and he landed on Chris Lytle, and it was like, oh, there it is.
Good thing he got his work in on that, right?
Yeah, you know what? And he did it for the first time in my card, so I should be proud of that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. All right, Jeff. Well, we appreciate you having us on our podcast. We're just gonna get to we want to get your predictions for 162.
Yeah, let's hear it, man.
Okay, so. Who do you got for Cub Swanson and Dennis Seaver?
Cub Swanson, Dennis Seaver. I tell you what. Okay, Cub Swanson's last fight, I didn't think he was gonna. Who did he beat the last fight?
That was Charles Oliveira.
We were there.
Okay, yeah. I didn't think he was gonna win that fight. So Cub Swanson, I remember when Swanson got knocked out by Jose Aldo, which in and of itself is. I mean, come on, that's nothing. There's no shame in that.
Absolutely.
But he just didn't look like he didn't have the look of a. I mean, he's on quite a run right now, I'd say. And Seaver's going to be tough. That's a good hard fight.
Yeah.
I don't know. Part of me is thinking Seaver, but I think Swanson's on a roll, and I think Swanson's going to win a 3rd round submission.
That's interesting. Yeah, I got Swanson on knockout. What do you guys got?
Swanson decision.
Swanson decision.
I'm with you on Swanson knockout. I would say probably 2nd round. 2nd round.
All right, Jeff. We got second fights: Mark Munoz and Tim Boetsch in a middleweight bout. Who do you got for that one?
I like this one. This is gonna be a good one.
Oh yeah, I'm psyched for it.
Okay, I saw the photos. Have you seen those before and after photos of Munoz where he just looked like he was just a blimp, and then now he just looks shredded. I
did not. I gotta see that though.
Yeah. So the only thing about that is when guys weight, when they yo-yo the weight up and down that much, that's usually not a good thing. Having said that, Tim Boetsch, no matter whether he fights at 205 or whether he fights at 185, it just seems like his cardio. I think if Boetsch either knocks him out early, which usually doesn't happen, or Munoz grinds and wears him out. I'm looking at Munoz late, and I'm going to take Munoz 3rd round again.
I got Mark Munoz. I got him by split decision. I don't think it's going to be a really definite winner. What do you guys got?
I think it's going to be pretty definite. I think Munoz's wrestling is going to play a big factor. Maybe a 2nd round elbow.
I want to be on the other side here and make this kind of a debate. I would say Tim Boetsch, but I took a picture with Mark Munoz.
We did, yeah. We got. We're very biased against some of our picks because we got a bunch of pictures. We went to the Fox card, so like Mark Munoz was one of them. We got a picture with Gray Maynard before his T.J. Grant fight, so. We're very biased sometimes.
I'm kind of curious though because Mark Munoz hasn't fought since he fought Chris Weidman, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So it's been about
almost a year.
It's been about a year. So there could be some ring
rust. The one thing about that fight for me is Munoz. I don't know how well he takes a shot. I'm very hesitant on that one. I could see Boach definitely knocking him out.
Yeah.
I do think Munoz.
Chris Weidman knocked him out.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, you know.
Was it Munoz injured for that fight?
There's no shame in being knocked out by Chris Weidman. He's future middleweight champ. We'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. All right, well, we got Strikeforce Imports, Tim Kennedy and Roger Gracie.
Okay, well, I'm definitely biased on this one because I'm a big Tim Kennedy fan. Having said that, my heart says Kennedy, but my brain is saying Gracie. But I'm going to go with my heart on this one. I think Tim Kennedy is going to rise to the occasion, and I think he is going to win a very, very close, like 29-28 split decision.
He's actually a favorite in this fight.
Is he really?
Yeah, barely.
Now, having said that, if you tell me he's the favorite, then I would definitely put money on Gracie then. There's no question.
I agree. Well, yeah, my original pick, I had Gracie first round submission. What do you guys got?
I don't really know other fighters well because I didn't watch a lot of Strikeforce.
This is somebody's debut, right?
It's
both their debuts.
It's both their debuts.
So I'm gonna go with Tim Kennedy because I like you.
Tim Kennedy. Yeah, you know what? Why not? Tim Kennedy.
First round twister submission.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
All right, so
that'd be fantastic.
the co-main event, we got number 10 pound for pound, number 3 featherweight Frankie Edgar. He fights Charles Oliveira. Who do you got?
I tell you what, man, Edgar's lost like 3 or 4 in a row, right?
Arguably could have won those 3 though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could easily make the case that he won those fights.
Fuck Benson.
I think this is the fight where he gets back on track. The only thing I would worry about, I like Frankie Edgar, let me say that, but the only thing I would worry about is he's been fighting so many 5-round fights, and he's usually a slow starter to begin with.
Yeah.
That I could easily see all of a sudden, you know, it's going off. I'm down 2 rounds, but he's just getting ready to start going, and it's only a 3-round fight. So as long as he is, you know, I mean, now again, he knows it's a 3-round fight, but as long as I like Edgar, there's no question. I'm going to go with Frankie Edgar, but just he's got to be on point right off the bat. There's no coasting because it's only 3 rounds.
Exactly.
But I like Edgar in the fight.
I'm actually predicting a Frankie Edgar finish. I think he'll be able to finish Charles Oliveira finish because I really don't think Oliveira is going to be able to handle Frankie Edgar's speed, and he's going to get caught early on. What do you guys got?
I got Frankie Edgar as well, though I think it's going to be 30-27, unanimous decision across the board.
I got Frankie Edgar too, but don't count Charles Oliveira, man. That case is a really, really good submission artist, and I have faith in Frankie Edgar though, and I want to see a finish from him.
Yeah, I would like to. All right, so now the big one. We got, oh man, again we got the champion Anderson Silva, and we got number 1 contender Chris Weidman. Jeff, who do you got?
Well, I guess it's almost been kind of boring. We've all been agreeing so far, but it sounds like I think you tipped your hat a little bit to me because I think we're definitely going to disagree on this one.
Oh yeah.
Let me just say, Anderson Silva is going to fucking destroy Chris Weidman.
Thank you. I love you, man.
I am rooting for Weidman big time. I want Weidman to win this fight. I am going to be watching this fight in my house. I'm going to be rooting for him as hard as I can. You know, like it matters at home. But I'm telling you guys, if Weidman, I mean, okay, how can he beat him? I mean, okay,
right.
How is
I've got 3 words for you. Silva, Sonnen, 1. 5 words, minus the triangle. 6 words.
Yeah, but Sonnen was juiced up for that fight.
Yeah,
well, Chris Weidman's juiced up on America.
Don't.
I tell you what, I was there in that fight. I was there in Oakland Coliseum that night. I was going nuts, thinking, you know, I mean, fuck, a minute away, and you know, stupid Chael Sonnen. All he had to do was just, you know, Chael Sonnen. I love the guy, but he is just born to. I mean, it was, you know, the rematch was the same thing. Why would he do that spinning back fist? I mean, what?
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's never thrown one. I've never seen him once throw that. and then he throws it in the biggest fight of his life and gets
misses.
crushed. You know what I mean? It's just insane. Now, I don't think Weidman will do anything that stupid. I think that he's pretty smart and he'll have a good game plan. What scares me is, I don't know, man. This ain't. I mean, the best guy he's ever fought is Mark Munoz. I mean, think about that for a second. Now, the talent level from Mark Munoz to Anderson Silva is, I mean, it's like the Grand Canyon is an opportunity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you.
I mean, the step up here, I mean, it's just enormous, the level of difference. And, you know, and it sucks because the guy hasn't fought. You were at his last fight, correct?
I was. Me and Danny both were, yeah.
Yeah, well, when was that? That was July of last year, right?
It was exactly a year ago on July 7th, I think.
Yeah, Fuel TV 6.
So it's been 1 year since he's fought.
11.
Now, I don't know, man. Ring rust counts for something, and it's not like he's coming back and he's fighting a ham and egger. He's fighting arguably the best fighter in the world, and certainly the second best fighter in the world. I mean, you know, we can debate whether John Jones is the best or not, but Anderson Silva is no less than the second best fighter, pound for pound, in the world. I mean, you got to admit that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, I don't know, man. I mean, I tell you what, it feels like there could be an upset. Like a lot of smart guys, a lot of guys who I respect their opinions, think Weidman's going to win this fight. I mean, but again, I don't know if it's like it's wishful thinking or you're really thought out. I mean, yeah, I want Weidman to win. I just think if Weidman doesn't knock him out early, maybe he gets him early. I just think there's just too many ways Anderson Silva can win this fight, and I hope he doesn't, but, you know, until you beat the champ, I'm going with the champ.
Well, I personally believe that Anderson's going to get tapped on this one.
I agree.
Arm bar or arm triangle, perhaps. I think, you know, Anderson Silva in his prime, Chris Weidman in his prime. I'm going to be honest. I'm a Chris Weidman fan, but Anderson Silva, the way he fought against Forrest Griffin, no one can beat him when he's fighting like that. But I think eventually age is going to catch up to him, and I think an all-American wrestler putting his elbow in his face in full mount is going to make it catch up real fast. So, yeah, there's a lot of wishful thinking in there, but I think Weidman has a legitimate shot to win.
Yeah, you know, Weidman's the real deal. I really like Chris Weidman. I really think he does have a good chance in this fight. I honestly believe that he is going to win this fight, and it's wishful thinking to think he's going to finish him, but I really do deep in my heart believe that he's going to win this fight. And my buddy Scott over here, he's the total complete polar opposite. And it's a very emotional week, to say the least. And we're kind of really not friends right now until Saturday comes along, but I'm predicting a Chris Weidman finish. Scott, go off. Go.
I'm not okay. The amount of shit I get from these guys, first of all, is obscene. But whatever. Yeah. Okay. Chris Weidman. Okay, he's not a joke. Not at all. I'm not trying to take anything away from the guy. The guy is really, really confident. You know, and if you need that if you want to beat Anderson Silva when you get in the octagon, you need to at least have that mindset to have a chance at the champ. What I will say though is that, okay, I want to. There's been numerous times where the UFC throws fighters Anderson Silva and keeps silencing the critics. It's happened time and time again, and people say, oh, you know, wrestlers are gonna, you know, they're Anderson's weakness. Well, here's the truth to all that is that. When have you really seen a wrestler dominate Anderson Silva? And do not say the first Sonnen fight, because Sonnen was juiced to. He was like, what was it? I think it was
It's like 14.
It's
It's
14.
long, so we're not even getting into that.
I know. Okay, but the second fight, okay, Sonnen did take him down and had a 10-8 round against him, but in the second round, I'm pretty sure Anderson stuffed his takedown, and then the rest is history.
What round was that you said?
It's round two.
Round 2, Silva's on 2.
Round 2. Silva's on in 2?
Yeah, he attempted to take down.
That's
so, you know, they say that Chris Weidman is stylistically the worst matchup for Anderson Silva, and you know, that's probably true. But who's probably the best person to combat having the worst stylistic matchup against him? I would say the greatest fighter of all time. And you know, Weidman's 9-0. Anderson is 16-0 in the UFC with, what is it, 10 or 11?
This is going to be his 11th title defense.
11th title
16
defense.
finishes.
16 finishes. Oh no!
No.
He had 2 decisions, didn't he?
2 decisions.
2
I
decisions.
thought it was just one.
One of them was
No,
Maya.
just 2. Maya and
Well,
Tyler
Maya,
Slatus.
I count that as a finish because he just screwed around for 5 rounds.
Oh god. Yeah, and then, so you gotta think, this isn't the first time Anderson's coming up against someone who has a big record. His first fight for the title against Rich Franklin. Rich Franklin was 22-1. In the rematch, beat him again the same way with knees. And then also Tyler Slatus was 14-1 when he fought him. So, and Anderson's fought, you know, talent after talent. He's beaten Dan Henderson. He's beaten Yushin Okami. He's defeated all this pool of talent. Vitor Belfort and that incredible kick. I just saw the fight yesterday. So, I'm really excited. I think the only way that Weidman could win this fight is if he has an answer to Anderson's striking. If he has an answer to striking, then he can implement his wrestling. I think then he has a chance. But in the long run, I see Anderson in the 3rd round TKO, and only because if anything goes right for Weidman in this case, the first 2 rounds will make it look like Weidman is actually has a chance against him. But I think the 3rd round Anderson's going to open up and he's going to finish him.
Well, there you have it. All right, Jeff. Well, you know, man, we really appreciate you calling in, and we hope we talk to you soon enough.
Oh, hey, man, that was great. What are you guys doing with the show? Is it going to be a weekly thing?
Yeah, we do it. We do it every week. We do it every week, and we always do predictions the same week of the fight card. And if there's no fight card scheduled, we go off. So you know, I'll keep you informed of what we're doing. And I hope we have you here on again.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. I'm down for it. I love talking MMA, and you guys know your stuff. And you know, again, anytime you want me.
Jeff, did we lose you?
No, I'm here.
Oh, there you go. Okay, cool. Kind of cut out for a second. Yeah.
But yeah, no, man, like I said, anytime you guys want me on, just talk this fight at all, I'm down. I had a good time.
All right, Jeff. Hey, man, we appreciate it, man. You have a good day, all right? Thank you.
All right, take care, fellas.
Bye. All right, one more big thanks to Mr. Jeff Cairns, who gratefully came in, and he took our call, and we had a great time interviewing him. Now we're carrying on. We opened it up to the public, and we asked people for their predictions, and now we got
conference recording started.
We got Mr. Kyle Fletcher from Indiana. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man.
Good stuff. So, we're here. We want to get your predictions, man. Who do you got for Cub Swanson, Dennis Seaver?
Cub Swanson versus Dennis Seaver. I call Cub on that, man.
You think he's going to finish Dennis Seaver?
And I'll tell you why. Dennis Seaver, he's short, he's compact, and he's got good stand up and stuff like that. But Cub Swanson, he's longer and lengthier, man.
Right on, man. All right, so now who do you got for Mark Munoz and Tim Boetsch?
Here we go.
I call Tim Boetsch on that. He's coming off of a bad loss to Acosta Philippou, and as you know, Tim Boetsch is a monster. He's just dominated. He's got judo, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, stand-up, anything. He's a very creative man, and I call Tim Boetsch all the way on that.
Do you think it's going to be even close?
You said Mark Munoz, right?
Yeah.
Mark's going to be hungry, too. He's coming off of that bad elbow knockout from Chris Weidman. So it's going to be a good battle, but I'll guarantee you this, that Tim Boetsch is going to take the victory on that one, for sure.
Right on, man. All right, so
we're pretty evenly split between the 5 people we've had on.
Yeah, we have. Fight. All right, so who do you got? Strikeforce Imports, you got Tim Kennedy and Roger Gracie.
Is Roger Gracie part of the Gracie family?
I assume so.
Of course.
Okay. You know what? I'm not familiar with those 2 fighters. I'm not. So I don't know I don't know what would happen in that fight, but I'm just not familiar with those two guys.
You know, yeah, neither of us are.
They're both making their UFC debut.
I have a feeling Gracie's going to submit him just because he's named Gracie. I don't even know if he's
exactly. He's probably a black belt in jiu-jitsu, so.
Yeah. All right, man.
Well, the family.
Yeah, co-main event. We got number 3 featherweight, number 10 pound for pound. Frankie Edgar fights Charles Oliveira. Kyle, who do you got?
Okay, Frankie Edgar, man, he's my man. He's extremely popular, but definitely going up against a devastating force with that guy. I'm telling you, I've seen his jiu-jitsu is top of the line. He's the first guy in UFC history to use a calf crusher and or calf slicer.
That's right, yeah.
In a fight and actually tap somebody out. I think he's wonderful. It's going to be a war. Frankie Edgar's he's just going to want to take it to him. After all the losses with Benson Henderson, he's just going to want to take it to him, and it's going to be an absolute war for sure.
Right. Off-topic question: do you think Frankie Edgar should have 3 straight losses right now?
Do you agree
with
those
I think
decisions?
he should have?
Do you think he should have 3 wins, or do you think he should have 3 losses? Do you agree with those decisions?
Yeah.
I agree that he beat Benson Henderson 1 out of the both times that he fought him, and I believe that the first fight was definitely a draw, and maybe Benson had a little bit of an advantage. He was just more athletic in there. Frankie tends to chase people around the cage and uses punches and bunches. That's great. But Benson Henderson, he's just he's well versed in every area. So yeah, I favor Frankie Edgar for sure. I think he won the second fight, and I don't know who he lost to last time. Who was it?
Jose Aldo.
Jose Aldo. I actually heard that he won that one, and I watched a little preview on it, and he knocked him down with a punch. So I think it was an overhand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Frankie should have took that one.
Yeah.
One question. Because Frankie's had 3 straight decisions in a row, do you think he's going to finish the fight against Charles Oliveira?
Like I said, fighting is so unpredictable. You know, mixed martial arts is so unpredictable. I know Frankie is going to bring it to him for sure. You know, he's not only prepared with cardio and his fighting ability, he's angry on top of it. He wants to get personal, and he's going to go out there, and I think he's going to take it to him for sure. But if it goes to the ground, I'd want to avoid it if I was Frankie. Oh, yeah.
Do you think the fact that it's going to be a 3-round fight, you think that's going to play a factor for Frankie Edgar? You think it's going to be an advantage or a disadvantage for him?
I think Frankie Edgar going the distance is a disadvantage. Honestly, he fights his heart out, but he doesn't always connect. And Charles Oliveira, or whatever his name is extremely lengthy. I believe he's got excellent Muay Thai, and I believe he's going to tear him up outside. That's why Frankie Edgar's going to get close and personal. And if he gets taken down, Charles Oliveira, he's a tough dude with jiu-jitsu. That's no joke there.
Right on, man. All right, for the main event, we got Anderson Silva and Chris Weidman. Who do you got?
It's 2-2.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Anderson Silva ruled the middleweight division for 7 years. He's never lost. He's been been close to beating, very close. I think Anderson Silva's going to win. There's no doubt in my mind. He's not ready to give it up yet.
Sorry, I'm excited.
Chris Weidman, they say that he's got all the tools to beat Anderson Silva, but Chael Sonnen did too. Now listen, I don't get it why everybody thinks that Chris Weidman's going to come up on the scene and just take it from Anderson Silva at all.
Quick correction. Chael Sonnen did win. Triangles were deemed illegal by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. And testosterone was not frowned upon.
I will say one thing. Chris Weidman will be champion in the future. I don't see it right now. We were talking about this last night. I was hoping that Anderson will vacate the belt at some point, and then Belfort and Weidman will fight for the title. Well, I hope
I absolutely agree with you. I think Chris Weidman is so tough. Not to jump off the topic, but you know he is a pressure fighter. He's long and lengthy. He's good in every aspect. He wrestles with George St. Pierre. You know he has a college record too, and it's just almost flawless. I think that Chris Weidman does have the tools to beat Anderson Silva, but it's just not going to happen. Anderson's not ready to give it up, and Anderson probably will vacate the belt one day. Because I don't think he's going to lose at all. He's elite in the sport.
What about a John Jones-Anderson Silva super fight?
I put a lot of thought into that. That's a scary fight. I mean, I really do get the chills by thinking about that. Honestly, I thought about it more than once, and I don't want Anderson Silva to lose. So we're kind of going that route. John Jones, 84.5-inch reach. He's no joke. He's good in every aspect. He's young. He's hungry. And he's got a taste of that belt, and he's not going to let it go for a while. I mean, he's been through Rampage, Lyoto Machida, all those guys. So
Vitor as well.
Yeah, that's right. All right, Kyle. Hey, man, we appreciate you on the show, man. We'd love to have you again sometime.
yeah, thanks, dude.
Have a good one. All right, and there you have it. We've had our two guests on the show. We had Kyle Fletcher from Indiana, and we had Mr. Jeff Cairns, FCP co-owner and matchmaker, and that will conclude our second episode. You guys like any concluding thoughts, remarks?
Here we go.
Anderson Silva. Oh my god. When Anderson Silva wakes up from his triangle choke, I wonder how much respect he will have for Chris Weidman, to use his own word.
Yeah, well, guess what? The champ ain't got no worries. Champ ain't got no worries. What? Order UFC 162 on July 6th only on pay-per-view.
By the way, Dana White, we would love to have you on here.
Yeah.
We charge $4,600.
That will conclude our second episode. We are the Ultimate Feuding Championship. I'm Michael.
I'm Daniel.
I'm Scott.
And we appreciate you guys listening, and we'll hopefully hear from you guys next week for our third episode. Have a good one.